The other thing before we get started is this is our Family Friends of Scouting Kickoff. We scheduled it for an hour. Hopefully we don't take up the entire hour. The main things we want to cover tonight is how to do a presentation virtually during COVID. So we have a lot of updates to tell you guys about, have a lot of tools for you to use in your toolbox. If you have any questions that come up, please feel free to enter them into the chat. Terry, if you have any questions that come up, please feel free to just text me directly, and I'll bring them up in front of the group. You can put them into the chat for Harry to see, and either Harry or somebody else will be able to answer your questions. If not, we'll bring it up in front of the entire group. We will go through some updates for this year, and then we will turn it over so you can actually see what a virtual presentation looks like in front of a group of people. So be nice to our presenter, just as everybody else on this call. It's his first time doing a virtual Friends of Scouting presentation. The ones we've done so far, we'll talk about that in a little bit. It is 7:03, so we will go ahead and get started as people hop on. We'll get them going, but we'll start off with quick introductions. I think we have a small enough group that we can go around do very quick introductions. So I'll start off. My name is Paul Odom. I'm the field director here for the Delmarva Council. I'm going to pass it over to the person on my right, which would be Mary Desarn. Do you want to give a quick introduction?
I'm Mary Desarn. I'm a part of PAC 90 and Troop 90 and the Friends of Scouting chair for Sussex District.
You got to pass it on to somebody. I'll pass it on to Dan.
Me?
Yes, Daniel Sowers.
Okay. So I'm Dan Sowers. I am the camping chair for Tri-County District. And I also work at Henson Scout Reservation as the climbing director.
Going to Jamie now.
Hi, my name is Jamie Pyle, and I'll be presenting a virtual FOS tonight. And I am with Troop 111 in Middletown, Delaware.
He also helps out the council as our training chair as well. Jason Bowman.
Jason Bowman, I'm Scoutmaster for Troop 56, and I'm also the training chair for Iron Hill District.
Awesome. Grace.
Hey everyone, obviously I'm Grace. Currently Powder Mill District Executive for a few more hours, and shifting over into to being Chop Tank District Executive. So serving the Delmarva Council the best way that I can.
Next I got Harry.
Hey everyone, I'm Harry Meadows. I'm the Iron Hill District Executive.
Jim Som.
Good evening, everybody. Jim Som here, Powder Mill District Chair, also affiliated with Troop 33. Good to see everyone.
Then Greg Birch.
Yep, I'm Greg Birch. I sit on the executive board as the vice president of district operations.
And Hillary.
I'm Hillary Bailey. I'm the Tri-County District Executive.
And with Brian.
I'm Brian Murphy. I'm the Tri-County Community FOS person.
I know Dan Davis is on another call right now trying to recruit a day camp program director, so I won't call on him. And then you have Kelly Witt down there, who is the district executive for Sussex. Next is Ann Baelish. Are you there, Ann?
I am. My name's Ann Baelish. I am actually the committee chair for PAC 151 in Salisbury. And I actually joined this because I got an invite and I thought it was actually for unit leaders, but I'll stick around and see what's going on.
You'll enjoy it. And then Ray Teets. Are you there, Ray?
Yep, Ray Teet. I'm the Director of Finance. And Ann, I think you just got recruited for a family presentation. Hello, everybody. Glad that everybody could make it tonight.
And last but not least, on the phone, Terry.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm struggling with the mute and unmute on my old flip phone. And the reason I'm on the phone is I have an old computer that has no camera and it doesn't even want to update and load Zoom. But I am the Chop Tank Friends of Scouting Chair.
Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Harry, you can cut out all the introductions for the recording. Just to let everybody know, you are being recorded tonight. So we are going to record this to get it out to everybody. But to get started, as we know, COVID has changed the world. It's changed scouting, and it's something that we are having to work around. So with our Family Friends of Scouting season coming up upon us, we've already started with some presentations. We hope to get some more on the books as soon as possible. Going through the recharter process, we've asked for some dates as well. So not knowing what COVID is going to do, we want to make sure we're prepared as a council, and presenters and chairs are also prepared to give virtual presentations. And if we do in-person presentations, there's also some changes we've made to help out with that as well. This year, our theme is now more than ever. As you can imagine, Friends of Scouting is more important than it ever has been before. As a council, we took a big hit last year, and so with Friends of Scouting this year, we need to make sure that we don't skip a beat, we don't miss anything. We move forward. We move forward at full force. So you'll see a pledge card later on tonight if you haven't seen one yet. But that is the first thing you'll see on the pledge card is our theme of now more than ever. So with these changes that we've made, I won't say changes, more updates. The updates that we made to this year's family presentations has been really to give people more access to donate money. So previously, the pledge card has been the #1 way somebody could donate money. We would pass out a pledge card at a presentation, but if we're not in person, then we can't really pass out a pledge card. So we've set up different ways for people to donate. We've always had our online donation. We're hoping to pick that up even more this year, really spread the word for our online donations. And we've also set up a text. So you've probably seen this all over the place. Text this to send money. So we've set up a text donate to a number, and then you can go through and fill it out. So with the texting, one thing to be very clear on that, the text message is actually like a subscription-based payment. So if you go onto the text message and type in your information, it will ask you to either do a one-time payment or a recurring payment. And a recurring payment is, if you think of a Netflix or a Disney Plus account, they take money out of your account every single month until you tell them to stop. That's how the text to donate works. If you sign up for monthly payments of, say, $25, it's going to start taking out $25 immediately, and every month after that until you tell it to stop or until your credit card expires, which is, for a lot of us, really the easiest way to give. I know for me, we have Disney Plus, HBO Max, and Netflix. And it's something I never even think of and never even see because it automatically just comes out. And I know it's there and it's just going to continuously come out. So I really am thrilled about the text to donate. I'm hoping that takes off the most. And that's one of the things we're going to be promoting a lot is that text to donate. So it's not set up on a yearly basis. I want to make sure that's very clear. If somebody text to donates in February to give $25 a month, it's not going to cut off in December automatically. It's going to keep going until they either cut it off themselves or, again, until your credit card expires, which if you've been with Netflix long enough, they'll send you an email and let you know that they can no longer bill you and to update your credit card information. So that's one of the big changes. The online donation is you can do a pledge online. So that's the other thing with the text to give. Let me back up for a second. With the text to give, it is payment only. You put in the amount and put in your credit card information, and it bills you. So it is payment only. You cannot do a pledge through there. The other thing with the text is it's a little too difficult for us to put every single pack and troop in the drop-down menu. So when you go to fill it out, it's going to ask for the county that you reside in. So please put the county that you reside in. That will help us determine which pack that's going to go to. We'll have the information, our pack or troop, our ship or crew. We have the information, okay, these units had a presentation on this night. And then the units had the presentation on that night, and this person gave through the text to donate in Wacomico County. So that narrows it down to Tri-County. And if we only had one unit in Tri-County that had a presentation that night, it kind of narrows it down for us for which unit that needs to go to. But at the same time, we will probably need help with figuring which person that is or what unit they're affiliated with. But we have some ways to do some research. We wanted to make it as easy as possible instead of having to fill out, instead of having somebody to fill out an entire survey, we wanted to make it just as easy as possible. Name, email address, what county you live in, credit card information. Very simple, very quick. As you know, the millennials are, the simpler the better, the quicker the better. They don't have time to work. So with our younger parents coming up, want to make sure that we have something for them. Moving to our online donations, that's very simple. www.dmvc.org/give. You can go on there. You can make a pledge or a payment on the online system. So when you go into online, you can go in there and make a pledge to be billed monthly. You can also do a payment to pay monthly. There is the 3% charge or 4% charge. Ray will correct me if I'm wrong, for the online and for the text. And the text to donate, you can select to cover that 3% charge, or you can select to not cover it. So just things for you to know as you're giving a presentation if any of these questions do come up. So doing a virtual presentation, I'm not going to lie, it's a little difficult. Just sitting here staring at a bunch of blank names. It is pretty intimidating. So one thing you want to make sure is that you have your speech ready to go. This isn't something you'll be able to go and really feed off of people. I'm not asking everybody to turn the cameras on, but when you're giving a presentation virtually, it's not like in person where you can kind of feed off the crowd and you can kind of see the reactions. You have to be able to know what your speech and be able to deliver it, even if you're staring at a blank screen with everybody that has their videos turned off. So just a heads up with that. Make sure you practice it. Practice in front of your kids. My 2-year-old knows my speech backwards and forwards now. So just make sure that you have your speech ready to go. So with our updates this year, one thing that we've tried to do for the past 2 years, and we've done very well in some units, but across the board, it's been inconsistent. So one thing we're going to be doing this year to make it more consistent is our emails and snail mails. So we have a letter ready to go for the units, the family presenter or the family chair to email out to the unit beforehand. That's one thing we'll be working with the unit. So every unit has their own communication method, whether it's through Scoutbook, whether it's email, whether it's text messages, whether it's a Facebook page. Every unit has their own communication method. We have a template, a letter template ready to go that can be easily updated for each unit, that we can then email that letter and email the pledge card out to each unit or to each family in that unit before the presentation. We'd like to get those out about 2 weeks before the presentation. That way families can go ahead and look at it. They can talk about it. For people who've done the Family Friends of Scouting presentations before, you've probably heard that I need to go home and talk to my spouse about making a donation. This way we are able to get those pledge cards out to them beforehand so that they know the ask is coming and they know that they can go ahead and talk to each other to figure out what they would like to do. And they can even test out the text to donate. The next thing we'll be doing is at that 2-week mark is we'll actually be putting the same letter, pledge card, and the example of the patches into snail mail and mailing it out to all the families as well. That way, if they don't check emails or they see an email coming from somebody that they don't know, they will still be getting this in the mail. And again, it's just one of those extra touches to help with giving them the ability to make that donation. So when you are giving your presentation to a unit, you can let them know that they have the pledge card by email, or they should have the pledge card by email. We are making it fillable, so they'll be able to fill that pledge card out and just email it right back to whether it's the presenter, the Family FOS chair for the district, or to the district executive. They can email it right back to them. They'll have the pledge card in front of them by mail, so they can look at it there as well. And then they have the options for the online giving and the text to donate. So again, just those extra touches. And you may ask, why are we making these extra steps? I'll refer you back to the theme of this year, now more than ever. This year, we have to make sure that we are running on all cylinders, that we can't miss anything. So we're putting these extra things into place. So with the letter, somebody has to sign it. You'll be working with your local district executive to come up with the best person to ask that, or not the best, the most influential person either in the unit or in the district that can help with that letter. The last thing I was going to cover before turning it over is scheduling these presentations. One thing that we're going to run into is we're going to have units that say, we're not meeting in person right now. We don't know when we're going to be meeting in person, and we don't want to give you a date and then we can't meet in person. That's why we want to have the option for virtual. The council does have a virtual or a Zoom account that we can use to set up meetings. We have a GoToMeeting account. The council has different ways to set up virtual presentations if the unit doesn't have the ability to. At this point, I think most people and most units have the ability, either have their own Zoom account, have their own Teams account, whatever it may be, to do a virtual presentation. But when we're scheduling those dates, we want to make sure that anything that comes our way, any obstacle that comes our way, we're able to overcome them. So again, if they're not meeting in person, we have the ability to do virtual. If they say, well, we aren't really doing virtual, or only the kids are really on for virtual, we have our 2 Deep leadership, but the parents don't join. If it's a troop, you probably don't have the parents joining on the Zoom calls. You have your 2 Deep leadership or your patrols, and you may not have the parents there. For Cub Scouts, again, maybe the same thing. Maybe the kids sitting in front of the computer and mom or dad's in the background cooking dinner, watching TV, maybe on a work Zoom call, whatever it may be. So we want to make sure when we're talking to these units that we're scheduling a parent meeting. So we can talk to the parents, excuse me. We can talk to the unit leaders, letting them know that we would like to schedule a parent meeting. And it doesn't have to be just a Friends of Scouting presentation. There's a lot of things coming up in 2021. We need to be able to help these units with scheduling their program for the year, coming up with recruitment ideas, coming up with program ideas that can keep the units active. So it doesn't have to be just a Friends of Scouting presentation meeting. We'd really like to schedule it as a parent meeting that we can help them work through these different aspects. Something that we are working on right now is putting together a schedule to help units with their programming. So my voice is telling me that I've already talked enough for tonight, but I just want to follow up with when we're setting the dates, any obstacle that you come across for our family chairs, even our presenters that are going to be helping schedule the dates. There are ways that we are coming up with to make sure that each unit gets the ability to use this. All right, before I completely lose my voice, I'm going to turn it over to Jamie now to talk to us a little bit more about the virtual presentation.
Thank you, Paul. Take a well-deserved break. So Paul and Harry asked me if I could come on tonight and talk about the presentation side of the FOS presentation, which is very important, not only for the council, but also for our local districts. So at first, I'm going to talk about kind of the steps that you want to make sure that you hit during your FOS presentation. And then once I finish with the steps and the process of it, I'm going to go and give a sample presentation that I would give at a unit level, whether it's a pack, troop, ship, or a crew. So the first thing you want to do when you're giving a presentation is you want to introduce yourself to the unit. Maybe you're a parent of that unit or a leader of that unit. If you are, that's great. But you might be someone from outside that unit. So you want to kind of introduce yourself to the unit and tell what connection you have to the unit. So maybe you're from another pack that's down the street or from another unit that's in the town. So just try to connect with that unit somehow. Next thing you want to do is you want to tell your story. We like to say you want to connect, inspire, and engage with your audience. And you'll see that when I go through my presentation. After you do your connect, inspire, and engage, you want to talk about how you can donate. Paul kind of went into that earlier, talking about the online giving, the text to donate, the QR code that you'll find on that pledge card. After you talk about how to donate, you want to talk about the different recognitions that are there and the different levels of giving and what you receive as a thank you for your donation. Next thing, you want to make the ask. So you want to ask for the people to give till it feels good, and also to have 100% participation as a unit that evening. Here comes the difficult part, especially during a virtual online thing, is after you make the ask, you need to pause and wait for people and give them time to fill out the card. So Paul tells me, I've never personally done this way, but he tells me if you sit up there and in a live presentation, you pause for 3 to 4 minutes and just stare at the crowd, it'll motivate people in order to give and to donate. Typically, what I've done in the past in a live presentation is I do the ask and telling the story kind of earlier in the Court of Honor, the PAC meeting, whatever the case is that you're there. And then I ask to come back maybe 10 minutes later toward the end of the presentation in order to kind of just to give a little wrap up and also to let people know in the unit how much money we raised that night from that unit. So it gives me time to collect cards, gives me time to figure out how much money was actually pledged that night or donated that night, and then talk to the unit. With the new way of pledging online and doing the text to donate, I'm not sure if we'll be able to get an accurate count kind of live that night. So we might have to modify that a little bit moving forward, especially if you're doing a virtual presentation. And then last but surely not least, you want to talk about and you want to give a thank you to the group for inviting you into their PAC meeting or their troop Court of Honor, and for giving you time in order to talk about FOS. So you heard me talk about a little bit earlier about the connect, inspire, and engage part of the telling your story. So for the connect, you want to mention your connection to the scouting locally. So again, whether it's that unit, another local unit, maybe you're from the district. So just relate to them somehow why you're there and not just some random person that walked in off the street. When you're connecting to the unit, you want to talk about some highlights from your unit's program this past year. So maybe you mention a really cool camping trip they did, or a summer camp they went to, or a high adventure base that they did. Because that will remind the parents of why their kids are doing this. And if the parents think back of, oh yeah, Johnny really had a really good time on that canoe trip, they might be more inspired in order to give a little bit more because of the great experience that their scout has had. You also want to thank the key volunteers in the unit, whether it be parents, scouts, or the unit leaders that have made a difference in scouting that year, or has made that unit successful. The next part is my favorite part, which is the inspire part. So when you're inspiring the group, tell a story that's meaningful to you. So whether it's a trip that you went on that you really saw a scout excel or kind of break out or show. Talk about program expansion, about new units starting in your area, or an outreach program that is thriving in your town or your community. Talk about camp program, district activities, local scout camps, things that are going on that the parents and the scouts can relate to, something they can kind of grab onto and make it a feel-good story of why they donate and why they give to Friends of Scouting. And then that last part of the connect, inspire, engage is the engage. So you want to talk about how you want to tie back giving as an investment into scouting and why we do this and where does that money go and how is it used. You want to talk about highlights in the council, things they've used with Friends of Scouting money and in order to make it real to the unit and to the parents of why they do this. Something tangible that they can think about and say, all right, yeah, I gave money and this helped buy this tent this year, or a sailboat or something. You also want to talk about, a little bit earlier I said about having your group have 100% participation into the FOS presentation. So talk about, you want to encourage everyone to give, and if they can, to become a sustaining donor, which means they give year after year kind of automatically without thinking about it. Again, talk about the pause. That pause is the very awkward pause, but Paul tells me, assures me that it does work, but it is very awkward for the presenter, no doubt. And then again, lastly, you want to thank the families for the support of the FOS and all the good that it does in the communities. So those are the pieces of what an FOS should include when you give it, whether it's virtual, at the unit level, whatever kind of medium you're using to give that. So next I'm going to give a presentation like I would normally give in front of a group, but obviously it's going to be virtual this year, kind of just talking to you. So this is something very typical what I would do and what I've done in the past for the units I've given them to, and something I wrote up today. Hello, everyone, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to come here tonight and talk about Friends of Scouting. Pardon me, let me start over. Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me here tonight to talk about Friends of Scouting and all the great work that allows the council to do locally. My name is Jamie Pyle, and I'm an Assistant Scoutmaster in Troop 111 out of Middletown, Delaware. I would like to thank Scoutmaster Joe and the troop leadership, plus the committee, for inviting me here tonight. In talking with your Scoutmaster and a few of you tonight earlier, I was excited to hear about the many scouting adventures and weekend trips you've gone on this year, plus last year's summer camp trip to New Hampshire, plus your high adventure trip to Sea Base. What a great year of scouting that you've had. And based on the comments that I've talked to some of your scouts and leadership, it looks like next year is going to be even bigger and better than this year. So I've been asked in the past of why do I come to a unit? Why do I talk about Friends of Scouting? And why do I do this? Why do I take the time out of my day to come talk to strangers potentially and talk about Friends of Scouting? Well, the short answer is because I believe in it. I believe in the scouting program. I believe what scouting can do for young boys and girls and to grow them into the citizens and leaders that we're going to need tomorrow. So some background is one of the reasons I'm a scout is because my parents drugged me to a meeting when I was 11 years old. Probably similar to many of the scouts in this room. My parents were both scouts. My father was an Eagle Scout. My mom was a Girl Scout growing up. And so on my 11th birthday, we went to Troop 56 out of Newark. Jason Bowman is the current Scoutmaster there. And I signed up to be a member of Troop 56 at a First Presbyterian Church. And I was a member of that troop for 7 years. And I'm proud to announce that 2,535 days after I joined, I became an Eagle Scout out of Troop 56. Now, that's 7 days short of my 18th birthday, so that's why the math is easy to figure that out. I also, growing up, I worked at Rodney Scout Reservation for 7 years. While working there, I met some of the best friends that I still have today. Also met my wife, who was working there that summer, and she was a Scout growing up. So to say Scouting was kind of in my family and in my blood before, before even I was born is an understatement. It was definitely ingrained in both of us growing up. So when my son was old enough, we signed him up for Cub Scouts here locally in Middletown. And as my son was in Cub Scouts, I was asked to take on a leadership role, and I was a committee chair for a little bit, and I was the Cub Master for several years in that pack. Like most leaders, when my son moved on to Boy Scouts, I kind of followed him, and in Boy Scouts and Troop 301 here in Middletown, I was an assistant Scout Master, and then a Scout Master, and then a committee chair. I'm currently a committee member there also. And while my son was in that troop, he earned his Eagle Scout Award also. Not to be left out, my daughter saw the great things that we were doing, that my son would come home and talk about all the trips and the zip lining and the whitewater rafting and all the fun that we had at summer camp. So she wanted something to do in Scouts. She was a Girl Scout from the time she was a kindergartner, but she just wanted something more. And so when she was old enough and she turned 14, she wanted to join the Venture Crew. We didn't have one here locally. So a friend of mine, another Scouter, who had a daughter that was 15 at the time and wanted kind of the same adventure, we started a Venture Crew up at Alums Pond, Venture Crew 1, where my daughter joined, and we had a great time in that unit for 3 or 4 years. While there, I was a committee chair and also the advisor for a while. When Scouts BSA was started, obviously my daughter wanted to join and have the same experiences that my son did. And so we joined a local troop, Troop 111 here in Middletown, and I was asked to be an assistant Scout Master, which I still am today. One of the things that I've enjoyed the most about Scouts as being a leader, it is watching kids grow up. 2 or 3 years ago, I would say that it was watching the boys grow up from 11-year-olds up to 18-year-olds. But today, in my experience in the girl troop, is the same. It's watching kids. It doesn't matter what their age is, doesn't matter what their gender is. It's about them growing and developing into Scouts. And again, it doesn't matter if it's boys or girls. It's amazing how similar they are. They're just kids having a fun time outdoors. And that's great. I've had many proud moments during my scouting career. One of them was growing a pack to double its size and taking cubs to resident camp for the first time out of that pack. I was watching boys grow and mature from the age 11 to 18 and having just a small little piece of them helping to become good citizens of this nation. Another proud moment was my son completing his Eagle Scout project and becoming an Eagle Scout. And perhaps the most proud was this last weekend, watching my daughter complete her Eagle Scout project and seeing the names of my father, myself, my son, and my daughter, soon to be, hopefully, Eagle, along the brick pathway that she built in Odessa. I never dreamed that she or thousands like her would ever be able to participate in the Boy Scout program that I love and have seen do so much good for others. It truly is a powerful moment and one to celebrate. So how can we make great things happen in the community like I've experienced for many years? So one of those ways is our Friend of Scouting campaign. So some of the things that the Friends of Scouting campaign supports are camperships. So one of the great things about the scouting program is if you go to camp and you're outside, the kids just thrive in that atmosphere, in that environment. Unfortunately, not everyone can afford to go to summer camp, just based upon their family situation. So one of the things that our money that we raised tonight from Friends of Scouting from all over the council will go into in order to help give camperships in order to families that need help to send our scouts to camp. Last year and over the last several years, because of Friends of Scouting, we've been able to give out over 300 camperships to local scouts, and that's fantastic. Another thing that the money for FOS goes toward is Scout Reach. So Scout Reach is like a unit. It could be a Cub Scout unit, a Boy Scout unit, but they're in areas where you would not typically see a Boy Scout unit or a Girl Scout unit. So they're generally in underserved areas. And so the money, some of the money from FOS will use to go out there to reach those that need it and that don't have an opportunity or don't have a unit in their area. The other thing that FOS goes toward is back into our council properties. So our scouts love to go weekend camping and summer camp down at Henson, Rodney, and Ackridge. And FOS helps support that also. So one of the things that FOS money helps support for this upcoming summer is that Camp Rodney is getting new tents and platforms for some of their campsites. And Henson just got a new shotgun clay pigeon thrower that they'll be able to use in their shotgun shooting merit badge. Some things that FOS does not pay for is that FOS does not pay for the salaries of the professional scouters, doesn't pay for lawsuits, and all the money that is raised stays local and is reinvested locally in Delmarva Council for our scouts and for our kids that need it. So next thing, as you've seen handed out tonight, is everyone's been given a pledge card. So if you look on that pledge card, it's two-sided. Check it out. Go ahead and read it. But on the one side, you'll see that there's your information in order to give a pledge tonight. And there's several ways that you can pledge. One way is to, which is a new way this year, is called the text to donate. And if you look on the bottom in that yellow and that orange section, you'll see a QR code that you can take a picture of, and it'll automatically take it to the link. Or you can text donate to the number you'll see there. And that's instantaneous. You can do it right now. It's very quick and easy and painless. The other way is to go online to delmarvadmvc.org/give, and you can do it online that way. Or last but surely not least is you can fill out the pledge card here, turn it in tonight to the presenter, and then we'll collect it and council will send you, you can either pay tonight or council will send you a bill in the mail if you want to do it monthly or quarterly. So what do you get for giving? Outside of just the great feeling that you're being able to help others in the Delmarva Council and help our local council camps. The other thing we do is a thank you gift is that if you give anything, you'll get a card magnet. If you give at the $250 level, which is they determined that that is the level that helps one scout attend camp, you'll get this council strip with the red border on the outside. And something that we're doing a little bit different this year that we haven't seen in Delmarva as many years is we're doing a patch set. So over the course of the next 8 years, if you give every year, you'll be able to give and collect all 8 of these patches. And if you donate every year and collect all 8 patches, the center patch will be given to you free on that 8th year. So if you you can give at any level. If you can't afford or can't give at the $250 level, that's not a problem. We thank you for being able to give anything. But if you can at the $250 level, you'll get that red patch. If you're able to give a little bit more, then it'll be the same patch, but instead of the red on the outside, it'll be a silver Mylar patch, and that is at the $500 level. And if you're willing and able to give above that, please see me at the end of the presentation, and we can talk about other ways and amounts that you can give. So again, we would like for everyone to participate tonight if you're able to. If you're not able to, that's understandable. Don't feel bad. But if you can, even $5 or $10 would be great and would definitely go to help others in the area. So at this point in the presentation, this is where I would give the 3 to 4 minute pause, as Paul calls it, or I would turn it back over to the Court of Honor, to the MC, and they would continue on with the Court of Honor, and then I would come back 5-10 minutes later. And when I came back, I would talk about what we collected that night, if I have a number. And again, I would thank the group again for having me in and being able to present an FOS presentation.
So Harry, if you will cue up the video. First of all, Jamie, great job. Thank you so much. That was spot on. And remember, if this is in person or compared to virtual, you'll need to change up just a little bit, but that was spot on. Harry, if you will go ahead and play the video. This is another great way. If you make the ask virtually, we can share this video with you, and I'll let you go ahead and play. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm sharing my audio. Let me know if you can't hear.
So that is the good and bad thing about virtual. We can show videos like that, but at the same time, it was a little laggy, sound cut out at the beginning. So it's up to each presenter if that's something they would like to use. You probably will ask people to turn off their videos to help with the bandwidth. We will be emailing that video out. So just let everybody know on this call tonight, we will be following up with you with the video, so you have it. You can take a look at it. If you can do in person and they have the AV equipment for you, you can just email it to them to see the video. And then it's also we'll be emailing out the handbook. So in the handbook, it kind of covers the things that we talked about tonight, with the email going out 2 weeks in advance, the letter going out a week in advance. Kind of goes through that stuff as well. Again, I want to thank Jamie tonight for the presentation. I know it's not easy talking to a group of just names on a page. So any other advice you have for us, Jamie, when giving the presentation?
Yeah, I'd have to go back. Again, this is my first one. I don't use Zoom very often. I don't have to do it for work, thankfully. But I think as my notes were kind of looking down, I think I wasn't looking at the camera a lot. And so I had to kind of watch the playback of it. But I would say if you can arrange your notes somewhere more center, so you're looking at the camera, it might just look better if it's a virtual presentation.
Yeah, that's the thing for me as well, is making sure, remembering that my camera is right up here and
Right.
trying to look at the camera and not somewhere else. That is a great advice. We will open up to any questions. I see we have one from Brian. How long presentations take? 10 minutes is a good amount of time. If you have those leaders that are sensitive to giving up time during a blue and gold and court of honor, just remember how important Friends of Scouting is this year. And I would remind them that as important as it is this year, to ask for that 10 minutes. You can cut down your story a little bit if need be to take up less time, but that's what I would remind them of, just how important this is.
And also, Paul, I think if you have early reach out to the unit, and if you know your presentation is 10 minutes, ask for 10 minutes. And if they know about it ahead of time, they can kind of plan around that, versus if you just show up and say, hey, I need 10 minutes. If they've already allotted for 55 minutes and they've only given you 5, they'll run over. So I think early communication helps with that also.
Yep. So again, I'm in the chat box. I uploaded the copy of the pledge card, the guidebook or handbook for this for 2021. You will be getting that in an email either later tonight or tomorrow morning from your local executive with the handbook, the video, and the pledge card, just so you have it on you. And as you are either recruiting new presenters or talking to other presenters who weren't able to make it tonight, please send them that email, or not that email, send them an email with those 3 documents plus this recording of tonight's training. Want to make sure that this gets out into the hands of as many people as possible, because as you all know, many hands make light work. So at this time, we will open it up for any questions, comments, concerns, anything from the group. Please let us know what you think. And then after that, we will be adjourned.
Jamie, great job on the presentation. Just really inspiring stories. It was great to hear, since I got to hear Erin tell her story to Dr. Nevin earlier this year. It was great to see.
Thanks.
Just one suggestion when talking about the patch levels, the $250 level and the $500 level. It's helpful for some people to break that down to a monthly payment.
Okay.
So that those are big numbers to some people. They translate to $21 a month or $42 a month, and that might be easier for people to understand. And if you're willing to, or if you're interested in purchasing this first level patch tonight, just fill out your text to give at $21 a month, and that'll earn you the patch.
The last thing that I will mention that we forgot to, another change that we made this year, since we're looking at doing more virtual, is in the past we usually have the patches and the magnets at the presentations. Well, since we if we're not going to be in person, if we're going to be doing virtual, and this will also count for in person, we won't be able to give out the patches as instantaneous recognition. So what we'll be doing this year is, as the pledges come in and the payments come in, they will get the patch with a thank you note once we receive their payment. So if they say $250, once they pay off the $250, they'll get their thank you note or thank you letter, as well as the patch inside that thank you letter. So just something to let people know. I think that's about it. I'll see another question here. Some people donating need the council's TIN. Can you send that on email? Ray, I'll let you answer that question.
I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
Some people donating use charitable giving accounts that need the council's TIN. Can you send that out on email?
So if you're ready to record that number, it's 51 2736x1824.
And does any
Thanks,
employer
Harry.
match? Does an employer match help them reach a giving level? I'm going to say yes.
Yes, that's correct.
I mean, that only makes sense. If you have some people that, some companies will actually make $250, $500 volunteer grants. Walmart, Bank of America, some others out there that will, if you just tell them that you volunteer for more than 40 hours a year with scouting, they will cut us a check without you having to make a donation. But please do make a donation. So with that, everybody on the call tonight, Jamie just made a great presentation, and the last thing we want to do is say we raised $0 off of Jamie's presentation. So please go on to the text to donate. Check it out. That way, even if you don't use that platform, go through the steps just to see what they are, so you can help relay that to the families and to other presenters. Go on to the online giving, fill out the pledge card, send it in to us. Text your local district executive with how much you'd like to give. We'll get it turned in. But the last thing I want to do is tell Jamie tomorrow that we didn't raise any money from tonight. So I ask that please go ahead, use one of those platforms to make your donation tonight. We are kicking off the 2021 campaign a little bit earlier because, again, Friends of Scouting is more important, is important, but it's now more than ever. So any other questions? Again, I want to thank Jamie for everything he's done tonight. I want to thank Harry for being the behind the scenes admin. Thank everybody else for joining us tonight. Y'all have a good night and good luck. Thank you very much.